Wow, it's actually kind of a peaceful beginning this time.
Ah,
I don't think that probably won't speak for the
No, no,
entire.
no, 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 no.
Steve,
Yes,
if
yes.
you get if you want a unpeaceful start to the show or
Oh.
unpeaceful show, I can like prepare for
I'm
that.
like, is everybody okay? Is everybody feeling okay? No, because usually when we actually go live, we're in the middle of something and we're sort of,
Right.
just. But this time it's like, oh hey, hi everybody, welcome to the
Hello.
show. And actually, Geek, since you already said something, you had something you wanted to
Right.
make everybody aware of here at the beginning. So go for it.
Well, yeah, as I've done several times before, it's just like, do you know what this month is as well too? And like, I didn't do it on like last month because like we all know it was Queer Wrath Month, and it still is as well too. Actually, I have a friend that like the last month all over screen started with like Pride Month in the title. Now it's like Queer Wrath Month for this month as well too. But this month it's not just Queer Wrath Month; it's also Disability Pride Month, which is one I want to like bring up again as I brought up last year, but like mentioning it again as like the reason why we have Disability Pride Month as well too is that like is to commemorate the like signing of the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act in like 1979, if I want to remember.
1990.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's
so
true. Yeah, it was way more. Yeah, it was way more recent than
Way
that.
more
Yeah,
recent.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
George H.W. Bush signed it. It was one of the
Right.
few lasting good things that he did.
Yeah, I know when they signed that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were all alive when that happened as well too. Yes, and like, and the thing is like, why? What disability pride? Why are you proud of being like disabled or something like that? No, it's just like disabled people, and there's a whole discourse amongst disabled people. Well, not no, I'm a person with disability, not a disabled person is well too. But like, no, many of my friends had say, no, listen. I am disabled. That is part of who I am. I walk around with a cane, or I'm in a wheelchair, or I cannot control this. This is who I am. So, like, and it's again just like any other pride of like pride being queer, pride being black as well too. Is that like no society wants to shame us for being disabled as well too, because we are not productive members of society, or can't pay taxes, or can't get married, as like a recent politician.
I need to add something to that.
Sure, go, just jump right in. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't really consider myself disabled. I don't know, because like autism is a very interesting part of this, because yes, there are like autistic like people who are disabled physically.
Mhm.
But I don't consider myself disabled necessarily.
Well, look, just to clear things up, disabled, it doesn't mean like you're in constant pain. It just means that it persistently interferes in your life somehow, which in a society that wasn't built for autistic people, we're not supposed to thrive within it.
Mhm.
And if we do, it's in spite of that system. Then yeah, I'd say that it counts as a disability because it interferes with our ability to do things the way abled people want us to do them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
But
and like,
I think that's not to be the person throwing the monkey wrench here, but I think it is also valid for Isaiah to feel whether or not his existence fits or doesn't fit a particular category. I understand.
Well, no, because I just don't get because I deal with autistic people all the time, and I'm trying. I just don't get, because like they say do things normally, and I do it the way they tell me to. So I don't know what normal is to them.
Well, the thing is, as you know better than most people, it is a spectrum, right? So some people, what impact it has on one person's life is going to be different than somebody else, and there are some people who the impact is rather extreme, and other people where it's not.
Sure. And the thing about getting married and having kids, it's like not everyone wants to do that anyway, whether they're disabled or not. So why is it important for people to know if we get married or to have kids or not? What's the point? What, like, who gives a shit?
well, I
think ultimately we're talking about a situation where, particularly when we were discussing the ADA as the marker for this, we are talking about a situation where by definition we are putting people into categories to, for benefits or for accessibility purposes. And that's where it's become, it's less, whether or not an individual says, I identify as disabled, as to whether or not as society or as government has defined what disabled.
When did I cut out? Because I guess my internet connection.
Just a minute ago. So like you were just like blink in and out this one like that.
So I don't know if you guys, because I basically was saying that obviously it's a spectrum and everybody's different. So if you say you're disabled because of it, then you are, and if you say you're not, then I accept that too.
Yeah.
One
thing I want to point out,
which is the flip side of what I was just saying, because the government has to slot you into categories, like ADA purposes.
Right.
Well, also the thing is, like, some people like do consider their autism to be a disability because, like, well, you have to get a job. Okay, but if the only jobs available to like them is like working retail, many of my friends have said I cannot work retail, and knowing them is like, you know what, fair, because like it's Phoenix is a good example. My friend that I will constantly raise money for as well too. They did work at Target as well too, but like working at Target was like not good for their mental health, let alone their physical health. And that's another thing we gotta consider: mental disabilities as well too, or just like mental health in general. And like not that long ago, it was like a mental health awareness week or something like that. I forgot when it was, but like there's so much shame around like mental health as well too. Like, oh, real men don't cry. There's no crying in baseball. And like
I get that there's different like parts of it, and people suffer way more than I do. Like I definitely have a privilege. So
let me jump in there, Isaiah, and say that like solidarity is not a finite resource. Right. And there's been some other people who will say like, I mean, I feel like I am disabled, but I don't want to identify as disabled because like there are people worse off than me. No. If you have something that constantly affects your life and it like makes it difficult for you to continue on a quote normal life. I also look up the word normal and like the history of the word normal as applies to people. It goes to eugenics, surprisingly.
Yeah. Well, and actually, I just want to just piggyback on what Geek just said. You know about because the same phenomenon that Geek just described also affects a lot of victims of sexual assault.
Yes.
So people like, okay, well, I was touched, but I wasn't raped, I wasn't penetrated.
Yes.
And so you say, well, I'm not gonna say that I was assaulted because what happened to me wasn't as bad as people who had much more severe things happen to them. And then
isn't that a hallmark of all PTSD?
Yeah, and that's exactly. And this creates a problem where somebody can go for years and years, and they really maybe need some treatment because they suffered a trauma. And yes, it's one trauma might not be as bad as some other trauma, but it's still traumatic. Like in my case, like it came out kind of I didn't say anything to anybody for 40 years, and then I had an argument with somebody who had been assaulted themselves, and they said, well, has this happened to you? And it fucking just gushed out, and and I hadn't said anything. But of course I hid it because, well, it wasn't as bad as what other people suffered, and it still affected me my whole life, and then with the mental health thing, you mentioned suicide. One of the things that, like, Anne Burrell committed suicide. They found out. So she's Chef Anne Burrell, for anyone who's familiar with her. Great, great chef, great TV personality. And so I saw an article that was posted that said how they've determined that it was suicide, and there were people.
I'll put it this like.
Can I finish, Isaiah?
Let him finish.
So there are a lot of people in the comments that were saying, well, what does it matter? Let's not talk about this. And I said, no, we need to talk about this. This is why people end up committing suicide, because as a society, we are so backward with this idea. Because if you look at polls, like somewhere between a third and a half of everybody considers suicide at some point in their life. Maybe not that seriously, but they think about it, they contemplate it. But yet we can't talk about it out loud. And so what ends up happening is people that need treatment, because what Geek says, men don't cry, this, that, and the other thing. So people that really, really need to get attention don't get attention because we are too held back as a society. We don't want to address it because it's scary. And we don't want to look at it, and we need to look at it. And so again, this is part of that disability, mental
plus the fact that you sometimes get a really bad reaction to actually admitting that you've thought about it.
Right.
And I did. I think my second year at university, when the work was really beginning to ramp up, and it suddenly dropped from being a sort of a 75 to 25 ratio, i.e. 25% work and 75% exams to sort of a 95 to 5%. So you suddenly had to put in a hell of a lot of work that you didn't feel was actually worth doing the work for. And I can remember sitting in the bath with a razor, and please don't criticize because you need a razor, and thinking about cutting. I remember going to the doctor, my doctor at home, saying, I really don't feel I can go on. And instead of getting the, well, I think I can put you in touch with either a psychologist or somebody you can talk to, is only at the university, I got, well, that's not a very good way for a young woman to behave. Well, thank you, Dr. Lisk. I really like that kind of attitude. Not we're going to give you antidepressants, not we're going to send you to somebody who can talk to you, not we're going to get in touch with your doctor at your university who might be able to talk you through some of your issues, not we're going to put you into touch with the university's counselling. Says, no, that's not a good way for a young lady to behave. Jesus,
unreal. That is just. I mean, but not nearly as severe a situation. I mean, because I was not actively in crisis. Now, this guy kind of put me in a mild crisis, but I was trying to find a new psychiatrist because my psychiatrist was stopping her practice and going to teach. So, and I've been on medications through her, but so I was finding these new doctors. And in the meantime, between the time I had found my old one, we've gone to like these 15-minute sessions with psychiatrists. And so I went and I met with this guy, and all he did was shame me for the medications that I was on. And basically, I walked out of the session crying. And my ex-wife, who was at the time my wife, had to come pick me up, like, because I could not physically drive.
Jesus.
Hey, Kara, I just wanted to say that doctor.
Did they tell you?
Okay, don't everybody talk at once.
Oh, Dana.
Did they suggest that you should lose weight?
I had that.
Maybe you'd be less depressed.
You would not be so depressed if you were not fat.
Well, Kara,
I have a good feeling he would have gotten there.
I just want to say that doctor that Kara went to that told her those awful things. I mean, the only thing worse he could have done was either given her implements to do it herself or driven her straight to a cemetery. I mean,
yeah.
It's
no, like I said, he was so kind of, when I had to have a medical, because you had to have a medical to go, as part of the sort of process entering university where you're fit enough to walk around, and of course my disability was manifesting by then. And he said, I don't think you should have a medical at your doctor's practice. I think I'd be the best person to do it. I can truly assess you. And I remember looking at it thinking, you aren't touching me.
Yeah.
Which is not perhaps the best attitude to take, but I just looked and thought, after what you said, you're not touching me. And as it was, he couldn't have anyway, because they had their own in-house medical assessment. And he had there was a nurse standing by, because he would have done it in his own office without the nurse. And there's me kind of thinking, there's something really creepy about you. Because as a woman, you should always have a female nurse or a female attendant to make damn sure the doctor doesn't do anything like touch you inappropriately, or ask if he's going to touch you there. There's someone there to say, oh, he asked for permission and she was all right. And I meant to actually say before we got started and everything went haywire with the cats and everything else, do you ever meet somebody at uni and you think, oh, they're okay, and then you meet them years later, or they contact you years later, and you think, I really think this person is slightly nuts, or has gone over the edge, of crazy, and is into full blown crazy.
Sure.
Like she emailed me this link. She's a member of a writing group, a writing forum called Medium. You may have heard of it.
Oh, I've heard of Medium.
And I've written a couple of pieces for them. Not too bad, not too good. And she sent me a link, because I remember said, it's about Sally Ride. And I said, oh, okay, the female astronaut? Yes, she was gay. And I went, and she's emailing me all this stuff. And I went, oh, I didn't actually know. And I said, oh, okay, but she was gay.
And
your
yes.
point is, Caroline. But
I'm
she
waiting.
was,
I'm waiting for the interesting part.
yeah, you know. And she emailed me the picture. There's a very famous picture. She's in one of those astronaut couches, and she's got 3 calculators,
Yeah.
sort of hovering. And I mean, I looked at that when I was about 15, 16. I thought, I even said to my dad, "Are you sure they're not on strings?" They're 16 on me. Are you sure they're not on strings? And my dad said, "No, Cara, there's no gravity in space." They would, and I said,
Oh.
"But what would have happened to the cat?" He said, "Well, she'd let them go up. She'd let them go, and they would have hovered there. And then because there's no gravity, they just would have continued on up. That's an instant caught." Because they just would have floated up to the top of the ceiling. So, but she probably grabbed them before then, because otherwise you have to unstrap yourself and then float up yourself and get them down. And calculators, you can't play around with equipment. You just can't. That's the only equipment you've got. So you don't play around with it.
Yeah.
I think it was a dramatization of the
yeah,
the space program when like they had like right before the fire in the
Apollo 1.
Apollo
like,
1.
Yeah.
Like the part of the recruitment, like the recrimination and all that was they had Velcro on everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, and she's kept going, but she was gay, and I'm kind of, Caroline, I'm not sure what the point is. And she said, but, and then she had a female partner who was given her the president. Her partner was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom on her behalf because of the work she'd done. She'd already passed away, I think, a year before, and I said, and she just kind of said, but. And I'm saying, are you? And I finally gave up. I said, Carol, are you trying to say that she shouldn't have gone into space because she was gay, or are you trying to say something else? And she said, I don't know. It's just that it seems wrong.
Why? Gay people shouldn't be allowed to have accomplishments.
This is somebody who lived for 2 weeks with 2 men. Who they may not have saved my life. I don't think I'd have died. I think I'd have crawled down to the doctors eventually, but I would have been very ill. And they made those 2 weeks a damn sight better than they could have been. And these, and I'm kind of, is there something and I'm trying to grasp what she's trying to tell. It's just not right. And I kind of said, and I finally said, something, Caroline, gay relationships occur in nature too, not just in human beings. And she went, "You're wrong," and hung up. And I haven't spoken to her since. Okay. You know then that somebody has gone beyond the rim of whatever horizon they're on, straight into madness, and has created some sort of world out of that madness. I do not get
flat Earth territory now. So
yes.
All right. So I wanna get to some of the hands that are up. Joe, your hand's been up for a while, so go for it.
Okay, so going a little back to the mental health stuff, that some of it is not just the shame and stuff involved in it, and also other traumas, but also anyone who's dealt with the system for a while knows that it's a very imperfect system. Probably 1 to 2 in 10 of everyone that shows up, or everyone that we deal with. And mind you, I work in an involuntary mental health facility. So everyone who's there is essentially locked into the hospital for an amount of time that they do not decide on. And so many are there, or, a not ignorable faction of them are there because they just either said a thing that Crisis thought was an actual threat and was just venting, or they went there looking for voluntary help, but voluntary help wasn't available, and they were put into a treatment facility that is essentially a crisis facility. So the amount of treatment we actually do is minimal, where it's mostly just monitoring and making sure that they don't go further over the edge, and then trying to set them up with treatment after. But that's still, it can be 3 to 2 weeks while looking for another place, and it's
in the
not
UK,
a good situation.
No, in
And
the UK,
if
you
you
have
think your thing is
Carol, let him talk. Carol, don't talk over.
Don't interrupt people.
Yeah, just let him finish.
And you think your thing is minor, I could definitely see, and doctors who deal with that sort of thing might, see those sorts of things, and if they think it's minor, they might decide that it's not good, that they decide like, oh, you're not that bad. But also, if the systems in place aren't fit for, somebody that just needs a bit of talking to, it's really a bad situation. And also the same with some of the abuse things as well. When somebody was like I was just touched and not raped or whatever, there's definitely, I have a friend who went through a thing like that, and they essentially was like, yeah, I mostly just wanted him to be stopped. I didn't think that was a thing that he should go to jail about. But also somebody needed to talk to him and be like, if you keep doing this, if you keep escalating, you should go to jail about this,
Yeah.
There are two in the UK. You have two categories. You have a section 2 and a section 5. Now, the section 2 is if somebody notices your aberrant behavior and someone comes and talks to you and says, will you go into a secure facility? And that's voluntary, and you go of your own accord, and you are willing to accept treatment. Section 5 is when they incarcerate you. We say incarcerate, but you put in the same place unwillingly. You're often taken by force. And they try
involuntary
and get you
locked. Yes.
Yeah. They try and get you in on a section 2 because a section 2 is much easier to deal with. A section you still can't check yourself out. I mean, I have dealt with people when I did a stint in a psychiatric hospital. Oh, joy, yes, don't criticize me. And that was really enlightening because I did a 3-month period, and I saw somebody go from a high level of schizophrenia to actually being relatively stable, and actually on meds and treatment. He came down from that. I'm hearing the voices, and he still said, he said, I still see him scratching behind the walls. And even the psychiatrist said, yes, but can you ignore them? He said, yeah, I just imagine that they're mice and I can't actually hear them too loudly anymore. And I thought, yeah, that's a vast improvement from when he came in and he was ranting about, oh, they're telling me to go out and take a knife to people and go out and kill all these monsters on the street, which is what he said he was hearing. I mean, these what he said, they were serious audible hallucinate, or then can you call them audible hallucinations?
Yeah, there's such a thing. Auditory hallucination.
Yeah.
Not only that, but specifically what you're talking about, where they're telling him to do stuff, is a secondary term of audio hallucinations that are referred to as command hallucinations, which is a diagnostically a step up.
Yeah, and they could treat that. And he went home for a weekend, and his wife was a bit kind of worried about the fact that he was drinking an awful lot. But the psychiatrist talked to her and said, you do know that the medications do make him quite thirsty. They do affect how much you drink. You just have to make sure that he doesn't overhydrate, because you can actually poison yourself like that.
Yep. And lower your sodium levels, and also it gets really complicated because somebody who wants to have a lower dose of drugs in their system can try to make them go through their system faster by overhydrating to try to
we had
brush
somebody
them through.
who's on, and I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Librium. It's an antidepressant. But the problem is, if you're on it, you cannot now. And he was a young man of 17, 18, and they put him on Librium, which worked, but you now can't go out and drink 20 pints a night anymore. Because the after effects of Librium on your nervous system plus alcohol don't combine very well. So of course he went out. Got home stable, not so depressed. He still had his slightly manic episode, but it was controllable. Went out and drank himself to oblivion, and ended up back the next day. And he's sitting sobbing in the chair, and he's saying, "I don't know why. I only went out for my usual Saturday night, and I was valiantly trying to explain that the drugs he was on meant he couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah,
he had to seriously think about his life." I don't even know if the psychiatrist got through to him, because it was the end of my stint and I had to kind of wave goodbye to him and say, bye.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. I'm escaping.
Good luck.
Yeah.
All right. I want to keep going down the list of hands. So lessons, your hand is up next. Go for it.
You're muted.
Oh, and
okay, there we go.
No, there he is. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I want to change the subject because there was a mention of movies, and I wanted to mention movies. We got into a very serious subject,
yes,
which I don't want to interrupt too much.
Yeah.
Which is a surprise movie I watched, which is K-pop Demon Hunters.
A lot of people are talking. I haven't watched this yet, but a lot of people are really speaking highly of it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like most people you see is like, oh, I'm not into K-pop. I'm usually musicals are not my thing. I started watching it, and it is so good. It is so good. And it does touch on some of the subjects that are doing here, because the character, especially the main character, has to deal with identity. They have to deal with acceptance. They have to, there's the metaphors of mythical metaphors, with demon hunters. Again, goes with that.
Yeah.
It's a movie I think, Steve, you might like, because it's unabashedly, it's not, it doesn't hide itself. It's silly when it wants to be silly from the get-go. It has great musical numbers, and I think it also has a very positive message, where it says, listen, you have to be who you are, accept yourself, and accepted by others. And it also has a message that people can be manipulated through their weaknesses, right? Especially in this sort of K-pop idol mentality, right? The bad guys basically go like, I'm going to use your praise of me to get what I want, right? It gets dark in a way that in some other places it would get really dark for reasons that I only be known to the author, right? They were like, I'm going to write a very dark thing. I was like, yeah, you don't have to go there to show how dark it is. I get it, right? So I would recommend that. It's a good popcorn movie, right? You watch it on Netflix, whatever. And then like at the end, you might be crying a little. It's like, why am I crying? I don't but
those are some of my favorite kinds of movies, though, where you sit down expecting it to just be kind of a lark, and then by the end you're on your hands and knees in front of the TV.
I will probably watch Superman this week, but I said this before. I think I had very bad luck with cinemas when they're everybody, because I'm the person that has two people in the back, with one person narrating the entire movie to the other person, and one of these days I will snap. They gonna drag me over. I said there were people talking in the cinema. It's like, okay, don't worry about it. You can finish the movie.
That's why
we'll be fine. Yeah.
So the theater that I go to most often is it's assigned seating. Like you can choose what seats you want. So I always get the back row. So that way I don't have to worry about that. There was one of the Superman, because I've seen Superman 4 times now. One of the Superman showings that I went to, I think it was the second to last one. I think it was the second to last one. There was a back row. The back row was reserved for people with disabilities. So I didn't take any of those seats. And there were two people behind me in that row that didn't talk during the whole movie. But every once in a while, I would just enough to kind of turn my head a little bit. And I didn't, and I was just like,
are you
talk
kidding
about
me?
it later. Talk about it later. But that's, that was the only time, because I try to get the back row as often as I can.
Sorry, Carrie. I'm gonna finish my thought here.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not simply that they, whisper to each other or they're excited or whatever, right? I come from a culture that's very reactive. I can get that everybody's laughing, booing, whatever. It's like literally there's somebody explaining every single thing that's happening while I'm watching it, and this character's doing this, and I'm like, I am going to murder somebody. You're about to need a superhero.
Just pay attention to the movie. I won't have to explain anything.
Well, that's like
They
people.
have an unknown machine.
I never saw the end of
People are asking the
I know
person
you
next
don't.
Okay, wait, guy, please don't everybody talk at once. Jesus Christ.
People that are asking someone next to them what's happening, or if you ever have somebody ask you what's happening in a movie you've never seen before either. And I'm like, I don't know anything else that you don't know.
You're watching the same movie I am, man. I don't know.
You just described the conversation I have on the couch during every movie.
Just watch the movie. I love my mom. Hang on, Kara. Hang on. I promise I'll let you talk again. But no, like that was what it was like when I was a kid. That's what it was like watching movies with my mom. She would always be the one to ask, like, "Who's that? Why did they do that?" And I don't know. Watch the movie. I don't know any more about this than you do. Like, maybe they'll tell you if you pay attention. All right, sorry, Kara, go ahead. And then we're going to Isaiah.
I never saw the end of. I know you don't like it, but I never saw the end of the Two Towers for about 4 years.
Is there an end?
There's an end to the film. Anyway, I'm in the disabled row, and we're sort of, as you say, at the back of the theatre, sort of tucked out the way, and I'm happy, no problem. And this kid's running up and down the aisle. And eventually, because I'm trying to watch it, and eventually now I normally I do lose my temper sometimes. I have a very low threshold these days for asshats. But I was starting then, you know, the fact that I was kind of trying to cope with disability. I was upset because Edwin had decided to stick with me, even though I thought he was an idiot, because you know, I think women are put under a lot of pressure. Oh, you're disabled. You shouldn't be thinking of getting married. You should be living alone as a nun in a tower somewhere. But he said, no, I'm going to marry you. This is, you know, for better or worse. So eventually this kid, who must have been maybe 10, 11, he's running past me. And I got him by his shirt front, grabbed and said, if you don't stop, I'm going to rip your heart out through your ass. And flung him away from me. And everybody kind of looked shocked because it's obviously doing a lull. And the staff had to come and ask me and my husband to leave. So I never saw the end of the movie for about 4 years.
I mean, at least that happened during a movie where there isn't an ending.
He was ruining my entire movie experience.
Okay.
My claim to fame.
Isaiah.
Okay, Isaiah, go ahead.
Your hand is up. Go for it.
So, Steve, what Superman movie?
Yeah, there's an ending to that movie.
Hey, Kara,
we went to see the Return of the King.
Kara, hang on. We've
I'm sorry, Kara, but maybe it was like your internet, but like maybe you were still talking while like you disconnected as well too.
Let's go to Isaiah. It's not my day.
It's all right. Okay, let's just let Isaiah talk.
Yeah, okay.
Kara, you've had a lot to say today. Let's just let Isaiah talk. Go for it. Sorry about that.
I was going to ask Steve, what Superman movie should I see before I see this one that just recently came out? Because I've always liked Superman Returns as my Superman.
Oh, me too. I mean, Superman. I love Superman Returns. I mean, the nice thing about you, I mean, I guess if you're looking for another movie to just sort of like get you in the mood for the new one, probably the closest match tonally would be one of the first two Christopher Reeve ones. Just in terms of like the kind of just the sort of vibe of it. But I mean, you don't need, I mean, it completely stands on its own. Like you don't need to see anything before watching it. You can just dive right in because it's a completely fresh start. But yeah, if you just want to watch a Superman movie before you go see Superman, probably either the first or the second Christopher Reeve would be the best, you know, primer for it. But I mean, God, I love Superman Returns. I would never recommend against watching that. But
I did like your apologia, if you want to call it that. You know, the first video series that you made was good.
Oh, about Superman Returns. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah, go ahead.
if you aren't just doing what do you call it, live actions, the All-Star Superman is also a really good feeds into even though the animated one's not nearly as good as the comic, it still has a lot of the same themes.
All-Star Superman and this new movie, and I'm speaking specifically of the comic, but yeah, like the animated movie of All-Star Superman is pretty good. It doesn't compare to the comic, I don't think, but it's pretty good, especially if you compare it to the other animated movies that they've made sort of in that. Yeah, it's definitely, they're like spiritual cousins, like plot wise they have nothing in common. It's not, the movie isn't like adapted from it in any way, but it's that kind of world, it's that kind of tone and aesthetic. It's a very sort of over the top kind of fantastic superhero world, where just ridiculous things happen all the time and it's just kind of a part of life. Yeah, so All-Star Superman and someone in the comments, Brad mentioned Justice League Unlimited. Or Superman the Animated Series as well, which sort of came before that. It's
so good.
Yeah.
I always had a soft spot for Doom. Justice League Doom. I know, I'm a weird one.
Yeah.
It's all right. I'm used to it.
It's okay. I think I only watched it once, but that one was all right. Some of those, some of those.
I mean, you're talking about somebody who wrote a fan fiction sequel to All Star Superman, so
because it wasn't good enough for you. One of the greatest Superman comics ever written. You were like, this isn't good enough. I need to add to this.
No, I just don't. Because there is an episode in the Batman series where Bruce tries to woo Lois away from Clark, and Clark gets jealous, though he kind of goes. And I wrote one where he says, I know he's probably not coming back, he won't come back until, many, many decades, and you might be dead. Would you consider marrying me? And I'll look after you, and if you have a child. But then the one huge story arc I'm working on at the moment, which kind of involves Superman's daughter and all the fallout from Bruce going missing in time, is kind of becoming complicated. Let's just say that half the Bat family get in for some severe verbal flensing.
I have one of my, I'm not sure what the general consensus about it is, because I haven't really paid much attention, but it may be a semi-hot or maybe a warmish take of mine about the Superman animated series and then Batman animated series. I think the world's finest episode, where animated Batman meets animated Superman, is far and away the creative low point of both shows. I think that 3-parter is just awful. It's just absolutely dreadful. So, take that as you will.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's like they're trying to shoehorn the two characters in. We're going to make them meet, and they're going to totally dislike one another. And it's such an overused trope all the bloody time. And
it's just they
can't you like one another? Can't two men like? Sorry.
They do every obvious thing they could possibly do. It's like, oh, let's have Lex and the Joker, and oh, let's have Bruce have the hots for Lois, and it's like they do every obvious 13-year-old plot idea that you could imagine. They try to do that, and Batman makes a fucking joke after the Joker supposedly dies, and I'm like, since when does especially the animated Batman? Why is he cracking jokes after it looks like the Joker has blown up in an airplane? Can
I jump in? I need to go soon.
Yes.
So
okay.
So yeah. One reply on that in Mad Love, where he starts laughing. Harley says, "Why are you laughing? You don't do that. It's creepy."
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to go back to disability pride, and what we were talking about. Why do we need to have pride for being disabled? And I think we were sort of touching on it. I think Random Geek, you said about people trying to shame you.
Yeah.
And so it's not pride in the sense of, being puffed up. It's more pride in the sense of just pushing it. Pride is the opposite of shame. That it's disability anti-shaming month.
Yeah.
And the same thing for pretty much any pride area is it's a pushback against shaming.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got to scoot, and it was so nice to see everybody. Bye.
Bye, Dana.
Bye, Dana.
Bye.
Bye, Dana.
Bye, Dana.
Serious Mind, your hand is up next. Go for it, buddy.
Thank you. And actually, I'm glad that Dana brought it back to that, because I wanted to kind of continue that discussion.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things, though, as much as I said I like my current doctor about how he's treating me, you know, not just blaming everything on being fat, but one of the things, so, you know, and generally speaking, like when you go to the doctor, and, you know, like for physical, they'll ask you, like, you know, do you get depressed? Do you ever have feelings of, you know, self-harm? And it's like, you're always afraid to say, if either of those are true, you're kind of afraid to say, because you don't know what the response is going to be. Now, in my case, I just said that, I do suffer from depression, and he immediately prescribed a drug for me. I haven't taken it. That was back in September. I haven't taken it because the thing is, you know, once you go on these things, you can't just stop without, with someone telling you to stop and possibly being weaned off of it, because that can actually, you know, psychotic episodes and all sorts of things can go wrong. So I've tried to avoid it. Now, fortunately, in my case, weight loss actually has improved my depression. Hasn't gotten rid of it, but it's made it not as acute, not as, I don't get it, and you know, as deep, I suppose. But in that regard, since I'm gonna puff myself up a little bit here. So since the last time you guys saw me, I lost about 8 pounds. Since I've been on Ozempic, I'm down 95 pounds. I started my weight loss journey in June of 2023. I'm down 127 pounds. And from my peak weight, I'm down 161 pounds.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's nice. When I see myself on the thing here, and I see like facial features. I saw a picture recently of myself at my peak weight, and I cried because I was 600 pounds. And my face is just round. There's like no cheekbones or chin or anything. It was just round. And you know, we were in England. We had gone to England and picked pictures with my wife's friends that are, you know, in Oxford, and I'm just big, everything, you know, and it's just hard. And just sticking with the theme of mental illness, as I think pretty much everybody knows at this point, Ozzy Osbourne died on Tuesday. And so I've been listening to just Ozzy and Black Sabbath music since that happened.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
And one of the things that occurred to me, because, you know, Ozzy's music, you know, I would say he's my favorite performer. He was my favorite performer ever. And I actually got to see him, you know, years ago, third row center. He actually saw me and acknowledged me, which was amazing. So that's like, you know, like a high point in my life. But the thing that occurred to me as I'm listening to the lyrics and songs I've heard, you know, dozens of times before or more, and there's some that hit me very emotionally. I would start to cry. One, because Ozzy's gone, but two, because of the content of the lyrics. One of the things that occurred to me, I've been thinking this in a while, but the lyrics have been going in this direction. It's always been there, but it's been getting more and more as time's gone on, particularly the two most recent albums. That Ozzy suffered from depression, and he had a profound sense of loneliness, and you can hear it in the lyrics. And one of the things, like there's an interview you can find on YouTube of Henry Rollins talking about a time they opened up for Ozzy, and Ozzy, you know, Rollins band plays, and then Ozzy's backstage in the wings is like, "Hey, did anybody show up, man?" You know, and he's like, "Dude, there's 25,000 people here," you know, and he's saying how I always worry no one's going to show up, and that for all his accomplishments, for I love the figure. I really feel like I've never seen somebody die that was more beloved in the world. And
the problem is that they
can I finish, please?
Hang, let him talk. Let him talk. Let him finish. He's not done yet.
So, and the thing that I thought about it, so my wife's, this is related, believe me. My wife's husband, my first husband, he was from Bolton, and he went to Oxford, and he was told, you know, because he came from it's a very working class town. He was told, like, "Oh, you're never going to amount to anything. We're just blue collar working class people." And yet he got into Oxford, and yet he never felt like he belonged there, because he was told his whole life that, you're not going to be anything. And Ozzy grew up in a similar. He grew up in Ashton in Birmingham, but it's a similar environment. And I wonder how much of this plagued him. That, you know, you look at the lyrics of the last two albums. One, there's very much of, like, you know, a guy realizing he's in the last days of his life, and kind of saying goodbye, trying to say goodbye already, but the profound loneliness in it, and it just makes me cry. And I just hope, that concert on July 5th, I just hope that he realized before he died that he wasn't alone, and that he was truly loved, and again, probably loved more than anybody has ever been loved on this planet. And even more than Jesus. And the fact that he stopped taking his medicine for 2 weeks before the show so he would be mentally sound and he'd be able to sing, and that probably shortened what little life he had left.
Yeah.
So and being in this 9-hour concert, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know about Jesus, but Ozzy sacrificed for me. So I'll follow him from now on.
Yeah, it's usually known in writing circles as imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You kind of have this feeling that who will read your works, who will buy it, who will accept it, and it can be because writing and to a certain extent lyric writing, unless you're in a band or a group that you all collaborate on, is similar in that you feel I'm just. I might be pissing into the void for all I know. Right. I mean, Tony Iommi, who I actually met once many years ago, and because of course he's the one who's got the 2 fingers missing, and I asked him, I said, well, how did it happen? He said, oh, it was a stupid accident. And I said, how? And he said, well, I worked in a metal pressing factory in Birmingham, and I was putting the sheets of metal through the press, and my fingers got caught and snipped off. And he said, and I'm sitting there in the A&E with this bag over my hand, thinking now. And he said, I'm supposed to be joining a band the following day. This is supposed to be my big break.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm sitting there with a bag over my hand, thinking, now what the bloody hell do I do? And he said, I chatted to the doctor, and the doctor said, can't you do it left-handed? And he looked at the doctor and he said, you are kidding, right? And he said, well, I mean, imagine people from Birmingham, it's kind of like the old line for it, well, a Birmingham screwdriver is a hammer.
Right.
Really, it's kind of, like that.
That's great.
Everyone, my mum's mum married, I mean, she may have come from Russia, but she married a Birmingham man. So he was pretty much, this is what it's like.
Yeah.
My grandmother lived through the war, so it was kind of like, she took in Dutch airmen.
I just wanted to kind of
they backed onto an aerodrome. So I was going to say, so when they chased around the kitchen table, she used to take a frying pan to them. You don't touch me. You don't touch me. I'm a married woman. You keep your hands to yourself.
So I just wanted to tie one last thing. And I realized one of the reasons why Ozzy has always appealed to me is that on that same thing, I've suffered from that my whole life too. I still, even though I've got a successful business and it's going well, and it's like people talk about him being like his music being the soundtrack of their life, and that's same thing with me. So this idea that it's like that's something I haven't been treated for, but I need to. Is the fact that like I know there's people who love me, right? Maybe not all in this particular but there's people. I have evidence. So I'm aware that there's people who love me, and they show me that all the time. But I don't feel it internally. Like I don't have emotionally. I don't feel the connection. So it's very, very lonely. Because it's like, well, I know, so it's like, well, I want to feel loved, and people are like, no, but we love you, and I'm like, you do? Like I know you do, but and that's something that I'm not need to work on.
Yeah.
How does one raise one's hand in this?
I don't know on mobile, but I think if you on desktop React, then there'll be like option. No, wait. I think it's like something else as well.
It's under reactions, and
it's under reaction. Yes.
There's a chance if your screen isn't big enough. It's the way I have mine set up. There won't be a reactions key. There'll be a more, and under more, you can find reactions.
One thing just to add to serious minded is just see if you have the means and the ability. See the artists that you want, that you love.
Yes.
Well, you can. Obviously, that's not within a lot of people's means, but
right.
There is a song from Phil Collins when he went solo. Then he's also somebody who has had to pull back from his duties because he can't drum anymore. That was what he's known for. Called "Take Me Home." Yeah. And when I was younger, I listened to it, even though clearly that was in the midst. Like, oh, as a Puerto Rican who at times have had to leave his home, be part of diaspora. Oh, the message of "I want to go home," very straightforward. But in fact, the song is about someone who is a mental patient who is involuntarily confined, and all they want to do is go home because it says, "You are telling me that something's wrong with me," and but I see that there's more to it, and what I need to go is like, please. And the fact that now when everybody talking about this, makes me kind of weepy. That last chorus, he's just pleading, right? And everybody joins in, and usually when you go see him concert, everybody joining is like, "Oh, play me home," but it's like, it's heart wrenching, right? To be in a situation where you don't have control, and then you're begging the people around you, just listen, please listen. And it might be a situation where we can't let you go home because if you do, you're gonna harm yourself or harm others. We're trying to help you,
Yeah.
So just something that came up when everybody was talking about Ozzy. No.
Nick,
I wish Stephen G. Clenard was here because he loves it when we talk about Phil Collins.
Mention that.
I love it because I
too.
Yeah, apparently, what is he doesn't like it when I sing the praises of Phil Collins, of whom I am also a fan, and then just like last week. He gave me shit for liking Wham, and I assume by extension George Michael as well, because I am also a fan of Mr. Michael's solo work. So now I have two musical preferences to needle him with.
I think the one thing I get a lot of pushback from is that when I write fan fiction, and I've seen a lot of in tropes, and probably nothing to do with this, is this: I don't write characters. Well, I tend to write female characters because I'm a female. I don't know what it's like to be a man. I don't get that testosterone urge to go and punch walls or go running or race cars. If you say, right, I'm going to put some rallying or some motorcycling on, I go, yeah.
I've never punched a wall.
Punching walls is great. You don't know what you're missing.
My husband can watch it till the cows come home. I'm sitting there going, yeah, love, yeah.
I can't figure out how to raise my hand.
Yeah. Go down to React.
It's not on the mobile app.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably. I have to figure that out.
It's almost the end of the show anyway. So let me go through the three hands that are up now, and then Chris, you'll be last. Okay. We'll just call it that. Because Nick's been waiting for forever, and Isaiah's hand has been up for a little while. We should let the guy
get an edge in.
Yeah.
But Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, Nick, go ahead.
Hey, I just want to talk about Superman for a little bit.
Oh, please, God, yes. Please, God, let's talk about Superman.
Is this a spoiler-free zone, or
can I spoil it? Well, I don't.
There's a lot of people that haven't seen it here.
Okay.
Just maybe walk it right up to the line.
Okay. I'll just talk about general thematic stuff, not specific plot beats. Okay. All right. This movie blew me away. James Gunn has this incredible talent to take us to some of the darkest, most dispiriting places. Because I'm going to say it, in some ways, this is the darkest Superman movie, even more than the edgy, Zack Snyder ones. But it also has some of the most uplifting, hopeful moments. So it's like he pulls you down, and then he lifts you back up, and it's like the whole spectrum. And this is what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy. He did it again.
Oh, yeah.
He also has this great talent for taking characters that most people didn't really care about and, putting them on the map. That's what he did with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And he does it again in this movie with characters like Mr. Terrific. Not that many people know who Mr. Terrific is, but now they will because he got to be in a cool James Gunn movie. It's just like the perfect Lex Luthor for this moment.
Oh my God. Yes.
And it's like an amalgamation of all the best Lex Luthors with guys like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and so on, who see themselves as the best that humanity has to offer, peak humanity. And then here's this guy, this doofus with all this power that he didn't work for. And it's like, well, if Lex Luthor can't beat him, then what chance does the rest of humanity have? And I will say it even flirts a little bit with... look, the idea of somebody having that kind of power and still just being a normal guy who can get frustrated and a little snippy and maybe have a temper tantrum. That is kind of terrifying, because if a normal person has a temper tantrum, some stuff might get knocked over. It might take a swipe at somebody. But if someone like Superman has a temper tantrum, then everyone could die. And yet, it isn't Superman that I see tearing the world apart. But I could even see, like, they might flirt with that in the next movie with what Justice League Unlimited did, where, you know, Cadmus formed because, well, the government and you know, everyone was scared of Superman and superheroes rising up and taking over the world and becoming the government. If there's anybody that I trust to take us in that territory and handle it, it's James Gunn. I loved this version of Clark Kent. I loved this version of Lois. I loved like all of them.
Have you ever read Man of Steel?
Hang on. Let him. Kara, just let him finish what he's saying.
I'm
let him finish what he's saying, and then I have some shit to say. So just hang on. Go ahead, Nick.
Okay. I just want to say, like, the spirit that, like, this embodied, it just asks questions about Superman that have been flirted with a little bit here and there. But I think this did it the best since anything seen on the comics. Like, there was a comic where one of Lex's employees, she made an algorithm or something that figured out really quickly that Clark Kent is Superman. And she ran up to go tell him, and he fired her on the spot because he couldn't accept it. The idea that a god would choose to live as some schmuck like Clark Kent, that's an insult to life itself. Because, I mean, if Lex had that kind of power, he'd use it to lord over everybody. Yes, that's what most people would do. And the idea, it just shows, like, how incompatible they are and why this is one of the greatest rivals, not just in comics, but now in cinema.
It's one of the reasons why the idea of God, if you read the Gospels and you study Jesus as a person and not as the Gospels present him, is kind of anathema to most people. You know, this, because what people think of when they think of the rapture and Jesus returning is Jesus 2.0. Jesus coming back superhuman, and by God, he's going to beat everybody into the ground. They can't cope with the idea that God, if Jesus is part of God or God or an element of God, I'm not quite sure which one you go for. They can't cope with the idea that Jesus came down as God and as a human being and humbled himself in a small, tiny little country and lived as a peasant, possibly a carpenter. The word used in Aramaic is tekton, which means master, which means he could have been architecture, carpentry, builder. He was a skilled craftsman. But and I will get to see the Superman movie eventually, I hope.
I hope you like it when you do get it. I do want to mention something
like I said,
that
we hope to move soon. So into
I want to pick up on something that you mentioned at the start of what you were saying, Nick, when you mentioned, because I didn't think of it as dark, but I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, and there's without spoiling anything, there is one particular moment in the movie that every time I have seen the movie has caused like a stunned silence to fall over the entire theater. And it is a really, really dark moment in the movie. And the reason that it comes across that way is because it feels real. And in that sense, I agree with you. It is dark. It's darker than anything in like the Man of Steel version of Superman, because none of that really feels real.
Exactly.
Well, it's not just. I'm sorry. I gotta
go ahead.
specify. It's not just that. It's even the stuff building up to that. The way the character gets smeared and metaphorically tarred and feathered. Like, wow, this is. He's really. How does he come back from this? But something I've realized about the people who hate this movie, it's because their Superman is the Man of Steel Superman. I'm not going to call him the Henry Cavill Superman because that assigns undue blame to a guy who did a perfectly fine performance with what he was given. I'm calling him the Zack Snyder Superman. To these people, that is Superman, and the character's entire history begins and ends with a Snyderverse. They don't give a shit about the comics. They don't give a shit about the cartoons or other movies. It's only this. And that's why now they're going back to a normal Superman. They can't stand that.
That's why I didn't like the Zack Snyder one.
I mean, there is something. There's something about like you can always tell like what a person's primary frame of reference is, especially with Superman, because the Zack Snyder version is such an outlier to the rest of the history of the character. Because I mean, there's nothing that this Superman in the new movie says or does or thinks. There's nothing that happens in it. There's nothing about its story world. There's nothing about any of it that is in any way unusual to Superman if you look at it in the entire context of like the character's history. It's only if you are assuming that the Man of Steel version is the default version that you would go, Superman wouldn't do that, Superman wouldn't say that, Superman wouldn't act like that. Like actually in pretty much every other interpretation of the character ever written, he would do exactly this. It's only your favorite that is the you know, the outlier.
Literally
I
just the
think
last version.
Vonnegut uses it. Make your character want something. Put your character into impossible situations. Make your character face something not so necessarily vulnerable, but make them face something dangerous and potentially deadly. See how they react. And then
did the Slaughterhouse 5 main character want something?
Yeah. Well, I think he wants.
Hang on, let's not hang on. Let's not get dragged too far afield because
okay,
thanks, Nick.
But yeah, Nick, I take your point. From the reviews I've read and what I've seen, I think I prefer to see Superman than Fantastic Four. I know there are good reviews about Fantastic Four, but it seems like
it could be worse. Could be Fed Four Stick.
Fan Four Stick. It's definitely.
Let's consign that to the fiery caves of Bajor and
I like the new. Again. I mean, I like the new Fantastic Four movie a good bit. I didn't like it as much as Superman, but I mean, other people might have a different viewpoint. But the new Fantastic Four movie is very good. But if
we can tell that, Steve, you've seen it 4 times. You're probably
I've seen it 4 times. And I'm probably not gonna. I mean, I can wait until Fantastic Four is streaming on Disney Plus or something to watch it again. Like I'm not gonna go see it again in theaters, but I am probably gonna see Superman again in theaters at least once or twice more before it's done. I don't think I'm gonna break my record for seeing a movie in theaters is 7, and that's for Spider-Man 2. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to break the record with Superman because I do actually have other shit. If I was just sitting around doing nothing, I would have broken it already with Superman. I would have just gone to like consecutive screenings. But okay. So I want to get to Isaiah. His hand's up, and then Serious Mind's hand is up, and then Chris has something to say, and then we're done with this goddamn live stream. So. Isaiah, go for it.
Okay. So I want to share a picture of my Monster Maroon from Infinity Con. How do I?
Ooh. If I'll give you screen sharing.
The host
participation.
Has to,
and then you should be able
I'm
to
heading out. Bye, everybody.
All right, bye, Nick.
Bye, Nick. Bye, Nick. And that Ozzy tribute that Serious Mind did was very good. I really like that.
All right, you should be able to share your desktop now, Isaiah.
Okay, can you see it?
No, you need to click share again.
You've done it. I don't think you've done it
yet.
You
click share screen.
So where do I go to?
Click the share button.
And then you have to select either the window or the application, either one.
Yeah, there we go. There's something going on there.
All right.
So, now go back to the...
There we go.
There we go.
There he is.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
That's very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You made that up.
You're the new engineering officer aboard the USS Ishtar, then.
Actually, actually, the colors is actually science trainee because gray is science and that red rhombus is the trainee. So I'm the navigator on the Ishtar.
Nice.
That's cool. It really looks good.
Yeah,
it really looks good.
I bought the pants from China off eBay. That's the 1996 classic phaser.
Nice.
Right there, that actually works.
Do you vaporize people?
It's a real phaser. Holy shit!
You got there before me. I was going to ask that. What, he fires it and it vaporizes people?
You know what I also love?
Because if you can, I got a list.
I also love about this picture.
Already died.
I love about this picture. I love that the guy you're posing with is apparently dropping in from Casual Friday on his Starship because it's Blue Jean Friday. It's Blue Jean Friday on whatever ship he's coming from. I love that.
No. He had a girl in the cabin with him, and when his alarm went off,
he had to just pull some pants on. Like, oh shit, someone's at the door.
And just hold them on and shot to his shift. And no one had the heart to actually sort of nudge and say, "Excuse me, Commander, you're not in uniform."
I'm thinking
I can make up backstories for anybody.
I think he's from the Valiant.
Fanfic.
Tara doing fanfic. So that's all you want to share with us? Because you can stop sharing your screen now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Unless you guys want to see my art project that I'm working on. My other.
We got.
Let's save that for next time because we're getting down to the. We're actually we're over the wire technically, but
Right, I can stop.
Okay. So and
Sirius,
your hand was up. Did you want to say something?
What I want to do is let Chris go, and then I'll say what I say after. I'll say what after we go offline.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Good.
Whatever. That's good. Works for me. Okay, yeah, Chris, go for it, buddy.
That's very gracious. And thank you for refereeing, Steve.
There's no choice.
Somebody has to.
It gets complicated after 15 people. I just wanted to commiserate with Sirius, but with like I'm having difficulty articulating the theme, but it was basically like the folk who are depressed, have suicidal ideations, can't really expect to have, or are understandably, justifiably fearful when trying to seek help, because of the reaction to society. Oh wait, no. So you were talking about what is the word? Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I just wanted to extend also, like, being autistic. I was born in 1980 in Reagan's America. Insofar as the medical community was concerned, autism didn't exist yet. And like in 1994, 1996, they added Asperger's syndrome, and as far as I knew, nobody, like, there was classical autism, but that's the form where you will need help the rest of your life. But I didn't realize until like the 2000, beyond the 2000s, like 2005, 2010, my mom found a description, and I was like, oh. But even then, looking for someone who could even confirm the diagnosis, like, I searched hard, and the only person that I could find was like $3,000. The only person I can confirm who had any idea what it was. And then it really came into focus with autism spectrum disorder in like 2013, 2014. But basically, society kind of makes us all want to suck it up. You don't have problems, it's your fault, and if you don't have any other explanation, you look within yourself for what the problem is, and if there is no problem there, if you're not a fuck up, if you're not lazy, you will look inside of yourself and find it, and that causes its own problems. I think that's about as articulate as I'm going to be able to get. And I don't want to.
I understand that. Like I said, it was only the social worker who actually suggested, when he was doing the assessment, I said, "Are you sure? I think you sound like you're on the neurodivergent scale." Said, when you talk about the meltdowns you've had over minimalist things, tiny things, things that people changing plans, sort of mid sort of you're going out somewhere and someone says, instead of going straight to a theatre, we'll go out for a drink, and I would freak, and I do mean totally freak, total fucking meltdown. Sorry, didn't swear.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
And yeah, I understand that, and it wasn't. And I'm now in my 50s, so you can understand it. Spending years and years with I mean, my mum and my dad never said we're disappointed, but I know that they were completely baffled by somebody going from perfectly normal, absolutely normal, getting in the car, everything's great, to sudden meltdown, tears, hysterics. We can't do this. It ruins, it ruins the whole day, which it probably didn't. And I can't remember it ruining the day. There's an hour to the theatre car. We can go and have a drink and maybe a snack. And no, we can't. But they couldn't understand why I reacted the way I did. So yes, I do understand that very much so.
And one thing I'd like to say to Chris too is that because having been an adult during well, I would guess I was a teen during the horrible Reagan years, and I remember the only representation I ever saw of autism was I think it was on The White Shadow. Ken Reeves
was Rain
TV show.
Rain Man, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
And there was a kid. He was presented as autistic, and he was basically nonverbal, and he ran up and down fast, and he liked to dribble the ball, and they were trying to put him on the team. I had a misspent youth. I watched a lot of TV. And
right there with you, buddy.
That was it. And then the next time I saw autism represented was on Law and Order, like in the mid to late 90s. They had did some charlatans that were basically saying, "Oh, your autistic kid can speak," and the guides were really kind of.
They tried to show it on The Good Doctor.
Oh yeah, more recently, yeah,
where he has a freaking meltdown and it's bad. But I think they did a good job on Bones with
oh sure,
not Zoe, Elizabeth Deschanel, and the guy from Buffy,
David Boreanaz.
Yeah,
the guy from Angels,
and she was autistic, and she frequently said, "I don't get it. I don't understand that." When people were they used metaphors or something, and she was direct and she was awkward, but she was unquestionably a good person, and they didn't make it like a stereotype. I think they did that really, really well.
There's also Tommy Westfall from St. Elsewhere, in whose imagination virtually every television show ever produced exists.
Yes.
The universal snow globe.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but you're right. Like until relatively recently, like maybe just the last couple of decades, like if there was explicit representation of autism on screen, it was always like nonverbal autism. It was always, someone who was like seriously debilitated.
We could fly. There was those movies where autistic people could fly.
Yeah.
I wish if I could fly, I'd have hovered. I would be hovering in and out of my wheelchair. I wouldn't need so many aids. I could hover myself.
Oh, if I had superpowers, I would.
From the door into my bathroom, straight to my bath bowl. It would be so cool. I'd just kind of think myself into hover mode and hover myself across. And I wouldn't need to be manhandled into places. That would be cool.
Oh, imagine going to the grocery store.
Buy C-Mac. Buy C-Mac. We should also hover out of we should also
nice to meet you, Brady.
We should also hover out of being on air as well.
We should. Hey, Geek, do you have any? Do you want to wrap things up for us, buddy?
Final thing. Disability Pride Month. A lot of my friends in ShareTheLinks.page are disabled and need help. If I want to point to one specifically, Phoenix, because talk about depression. Some of the things I've been posting is they why the hell am I still here? It because they constantly fight with depression and they need bills to be paid. So give to Phoenix if I want you to give to anyone, but please give to Joanna, Joe Fine Deer Phoenix, and check out charitylinks.page and go to patreon.com/Steve Shives to become a patron of the shows, because Steve, you do these at the end of each month as well too. And it's a bonus for those who are patrons of shows, as little as $1, $2 for our Patreon is weird. For our YouTube membership, it is only 99¢. So click the join button below the description as well too. Also check out the charity links page as well as all the things that are down in the description.
Only 99 cents.
Only
99 cents.
What a bargain.
Gone mad?
Yes.
Not even a full $1.
Yes. Well, maybe taxes, but
can we also thank Chris for giving us the Gunn show?
Hey, that's right, buddy.
Oh, right.
There's a bonus. You want to talk about a bonus this month?
Yes.
That's right.
Nice.
But yes, the next
right.
Patreon show will be 5 weeks from now on August 31st. 5 weeks from now, October 31st. And
my new kitchen.
I'll have had my wedding anniversary by then.
Oh, nice.
Oh, mine too.
Congratulations.
Nice. Serious. And
Hey, well, now let's not speak too soon.
Right.
With the things have gotten tense sometimes. So
and I know it's brass or nickel, but I think you might buy me something a little bit better than that.
Well,
anyway.
We'll cross our fingers for you.
What's the material
I'll
for
show
22
you if
years?
you bought it.
I've looked that up for 22 years. It's 25 it's silver for 25, but I don't know what it is for 22 years. Titanium or something like that?
21.
Titanium.
It's 21 this year and it's brass or nickel.
No, it's aluminium. No. It's
aluminium.
Aluminium,
yeah.
The original name was.
You're getting paper plates, and you're gonna like it.
The original name was aluminum.
Aluminum. How many times have we changed the name of that one metal? Why is it so hard to pick one? Just call it something.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Just call
it. There was an American name. There was a British name. That's about it.
Well, no. Aluminum was.
I'm a chemistry teacher. I know these.
So first it was aluminum, then it was aluminum, and then the Brits changed it to aluminium to match some other elements that had a similar cadence.
Because they all had the EM name.
So aluminum predates aluminium.
I think they need to work that into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think British people need to call it adamantinium and vibranium
versus
or something.
Aluminum Man.
They could have a civil war of the elemental race.
We need to have English, British characters in the MCU adding extraneous syllables to the names of imaginary metals.
Is it weird that because
I am aluminum?
I
am aluminum.
Okay, everybody's talking at once, so that's the signal for Steve to end the stream. So patreon.com/Steve Shives, like Geek said, or click the join button to become a channel member. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next month. Bye everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.